here. You know me as on the Triple X channel. I'm not sure if I'm putting this on a separate channel or not. That's why I'm addressing it that way. What I'm doing is a vlog, second phase vlog on basically how I have a round 2 of my colon cancer coming back. And this is for the people out there who are just researching and wanting to know more about what I'm going through, or what could be potentially you would go through if this is your case as well. This little backpack thing I got right now is a pump that I took home with me. So on Wednesday, well, would have been September 2nd, I went in for 6.5 hours roughly to my oncologist's office, and I'll throw some photos in of where I was getting my chemotherapy there. Very pleasant atmosphere for the most part. The nurses were awesome. There was like 5 on the floor, so they were constantly running from chair to chair. Sometimes the machine's alarms would go off, which means you need a new bag or something. And I was able to unplug and literally walk the tree with me to the bathroom and use it. I do take a diuretic, so unfortunately I must have made about 10 trips to the bathroom, which could be exaggeration, but it felt like it. Anyway, but before all that took place, I had to go have what's called a port put in. A port is a outpatient surgery, but it is a surgery. And they don't completely put you all the way under, where they have to put a tube down your throat, but what they do is they put you in a good twilight that I don't remember anything. In fact, the doctor said I snored. Embarrassing, but I'm a snorer, can I tell you? I sleep with a CPAP also. But anyway, they put the port in, and so everything's done through the port, which is very awesome, and I'll tell you why. The reason they started doing this is because the doctors were telling me that they would use your veins to put IVs in, and they were doing it that way. And a lot of times what it would do is end up, sorry, my little one is up and he's getting his stuff done. My little one is 13. Anyway, so if you hear noise in the background, that's him making his breakfast, so don't pay attention to him. Don't pay attention to the little man behind the curtain. I was on The Wizard of Oz. Anyway, so when they put the port in, I'm going to show you what the port looks like, well, from what you could see, and how they have the thing stuck in. If you don't want to see it, you may pause or skip over. But basically, the port's here in my chest, and you can pick right or left. Sorry for the hairy chest, that's just me. But anyway, they did have to put some sutures here, so they cut like, I think what looked like maybe an L-shaped flap, so they were able to put it in, and they also have to feed the tube into your vein underneath the sternum to the, from what I understand, the outport vein, that like where the blood exits your heart and goes through your system. That's where they, from what I understand, that's where they fed it into. And so that way it doesn't destroy your veins here, because that was a problem, I think, in the past, from what I understood. I don't know for a fact, but that's what I understood. So how did I get to this point? Well, today's the day that I go back to the infusion center, and they're actually going to remove the bag that's putting chemo in me at 11 o'clock. And I think they said 45 minutes, so maybe they're just going to watch the ending of it or something, I'm not sure. I won't be able to do video in there. But how I got to this 2 years ago, in 2018, I was very, 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 very tired all the time, couldn't figure out why. And, but I did have to go to a new doctor because my old doctor closed up shop due to this Obama mess he calls Obamacare. I'm a self-employed, and I absolutely had no health insurance. And I was paying the fines because it was cheaper than paying the buku dollars that I was going to be paying, because at the time I didn't suspect myself to be sick or have an issue. So when I went to my new doctor, he looked at me and he was like, "Oh my gosh," he says, "you're very pale. Are you anemic?" And I'm like, "Not that I'm aware of." And I kind of made a joke because I'm a fat guy, so I'm like, "A fat guy anemic? Ha ha ha," you know. He says, he didn't laugh at that. Of course, he probably thought I was being stupid, but whatever. But anyway, he said, "Well, we need to take some blood." So they took blood and they ran my hemoglobin, which I had no clue what that meant. And I get a phone call while I'm driving down the highway, because I go around and remove animals from homes. That's what my self-employment job is. I do wildlife removal in the state of North Carolina. But anyway, he told me, he said that my hemoglobin was 6.3, to be very careful, and I need to get to a ER for a blood transfusion. So I, got my jobs done quick as I could and went home, took a shower, went to the ER, and they started a blood transfusion. And what ended up happening at that point was I ended up getting transported from one hospital to the next one because they were booked up bedding. This is obviously 2018. There was no COVID-19 issues at that moment. So I got transferred to Mercy Hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's where I spent my 4 days of fasting, blood transfusions, being poked, and tested. Testing they did was CT scans, MRIs, everything. And of course, the colonoscopy I never had. Now, 2 years ago, I was 57, because it's 2 years ago, I'm just turned 59. Anyway, so then I had all these tests done. Then they finally did my colonoscopy, which I had never had done because I had no insurance. And at the time, I guess I was stupid, being that my father died from this. He had colon cancer that spread to his liver and killed him, but he never went to the doctor whatsoever. His diagnosis was, he was diagnosed in June, died September. That's how fast he went. So at that point, it was so far advanced. There was no saving him at that point. Not even chemotherapy could do anything for him. So he did pass, and that was in 1989. Of course, back then I was a little wigged out. I was, 28, something like that. And I insisted that the time I had insurance, I insisted my doctor test me. Well, back then they didn't have colonoscopies, they had barium enemas. If you've ever gone through that, it was very painful. I mean, they pump you full of this chalk stuff after you fasted. It loads your intestines up. They're pressing a ultrasound all over you, testing it, and you're trying not to go potty on them. At the same time, you're trying to hold it, squeezing your cheeks, because, and I don't mean these, haha. And it was pretty painful. It was like one of the worst experiences I've ever done in my life. Yes. Up to this date, even though chemotherapy is kind of weird, and I'll go over that in a minute. So, of course, I was thinking the colonoscopy was going to be about the same thing. So that's kind of what had me scared of going to have it done on top of not having insurance. Big mistake. I don't care if you have no insurance or you do have insurance. Get it done. There's no excuse. The hardest part about the whole colonoscopy is drinking the stuff that makes you cleanse out. That's the hardest part. After that, you go to sleep, or you're in a twilight sleep. They do it. If you have polyps, they cut them out. They test them. If you don't have polyps, you're clean. So therefore, it's just, it's not as bad as you would think it to be. So anyway, so going back to 2 years ago, I had to have surgery, and come to find out that I did have a mass in my large intestine, which was 10 centimeters big, which is the size of a softball. So being that they normally do the surgery in, microscopic, they could not microscopically remove this thing because it was a mass. So I did have to have about a 4 or 5 inch cut above my belly button, and they removed from there. So they removed my large intestine along with the lymph nodes. The lymph nodes came back clear, and it was fine. They said that they didn't see any reason why I would have to have any chemotherapy. So I did go for my 6-month colonoscopy, and it was done very quickly. 15 minutes, I was done. There was no polyps, nothing. They said, we don't need to see you for 3 years. I might beg to differ with them now. I might want to have that checked, but I don't know if that's even worth it. I'm thinking I'm having chemo now. But so the only thing that puts a little damper in my job right now is the chemotherapy, because I do deal with wildlife, and the only thing that I'm going to have to really start wearing is a mask a lot, even if COVID-19 was to disappear, I still have to wear it just because of the zoology diseases out there from animals, mostly bats and birds. So those are going to be my 2 issues that I'm probably going to have to either go back on or have someone work with me they can deal with that, and I don't have to touch it. So that's where I'm at this point, business-wise. Back to what's going on. So I didn't feel up to videoing Wednesday, Thursday, which was yesterday and today, or yesterday and the day before yesterday. Today's Friday. Today, like I said, I removed the pump, and then I don't have to go back until the 16th. So today is September 4th. The birthday stuff you see back here is for my daughter's birthday. Today's her birthday. When this all started for me was the day before my birthday, which was August 21st, not that long ago, and that's when I got the news from the doctor, and he gave me the ugly truth and told me I was considered stage 4 colon cancer. Now, even though at the time the CT scans only showed little bitty spots, 2 spots on my liver, 1 on my lung. Well, then when they did an MRI to get a good baseline, they found 5 spots on my liver, not 2. So that kind of changes things a tad bit, but they want to see how this chemo is going to react. I mean, it may shrink it down to nothing. It may shrink it down and put me in complete remission. They may have to go in and surgically remove it. We don't know. It's a case by case, day by day, step by step thing, and the doctor takes her, and from what I understand, he's a really good doctor. So we're just praying that, and of course the power of prayer. I don't know if you're religious or not watching this video, but I will tell you, prayer does work. I was really all about my prayer 2 years ago, and then I kind of broke away a little bit and really didn't talk to God like I should be every morning, and just praying and so forth. And maybe this was a wake-up call. I don't know if I'm saying God did this to me, but I'm just saying maybe it was a wake-up call, and I need to keep him more in my life than normal.